Hey guys, this is Tech Howdy. I welcome you to another video tutorial where we are building this CMS application using ASP.NET Core 3 and Angular 10. In the last video tutorial, we finished implementing the login functionality. So far, we have implemented the register and login functionality for the Angular application. I've shown you how to manage the state of your logged in user in this application using the observable store npm library that we have installed. Now, in this video tutorial, we are going to fix this navigation bar issue where we are showing components even though the user is logged out. So these are protected links which need to be hidden when the user is logged out. And when the user logs in, I should be showing these links. Also for the registration and login button, when the user logs in, we shouldn't be showing them these buttons. So let's go ahead and implement the uh, hiding of these particular elements in our navigation component based on the state of the user's logged in status. So to do that, first thing that we want to do is go ahead and first I will close all these additional tabs that I have opened and I will open the navigation component. So the navigation component is in the nav menu folder. Go ahead and open the HTML and the TS file. Now here in the TS file of our navigation or in the component.ts file of our nav menu component, first thing that I would need to do is create two variables that will store the values of the username and the logged in status. So the username, we would want to display it after the user is logged in here in this drop down that we see. And the logged in status will be used to hide our protected or unprotected components. So here in this particular navigation menu component, I'm going to add these two variables, login status and username. Note these variables are observable, but our login status is a behavior subject, and I have explained in the previous video tutorial why I use behavior subject. So if you have not watched it, go ahead and watch it. Here what I'm going to do is going to add the missing import statement so I get rid of the errors. So I'll import observable and behavior subject from RxJS. Next thing in the constructor, I would need certain service or certain module to be instantiated. In this particular constructor, I would need the account service because I need to get the state of the logged in user from the account service. As you can see here in the console, the account service has the logged in status of the user. So I need to instantiate this service. Also, I need the router service so that I can navigate the user based on the logged in status. So here I have added these two services, which is the account service and the router service. I have added the import statement for both these services. Now we have these services. Let's go ahead in the onIt method, which will initialize our component, get the state of the logged in user. In the login component.ts, we followed a method, or we used a method to get the logged in status of the user. Here you can see we have used the global state changed method, which is part of the observable store in the account service. We are going to use the same method in our navigation component as well to get the logged in state of the user from our store. So here inside the ng-onIt method, ng-on-init method, I have initialized and got the state of the user logged in status. Using the global state change method, I have subscribed to the response where I will receive a state object which will contain the logged in status of the user. Then I will assign the status to this behavior subject that I have created here so that it can emit the current value to all the subscribers of this particular object. And as we know, behavior subject will multicast the value. Next thing that we do is the username. We will get the logged in user's username from our account service. We would have to use the current username getter, which we are going to create now. So in the account service, we will go to the account service.ts file over here. Let me minimize the login method. After the check account login status, I'm going to create a getter, call it current username. All it does is returns the username as observable. So I'm going to save this, go back over here, and now I should not see any errors. In the account service, we already are storing the username when the user logs in the username uh, object that we have created, which we see over here. It's an of the behavior subject and we have declared it here. So once the user logs in, we set the value of that behavior subject. So all we are doing is getting the value. If you're wondering why I used this current username, that's because in the account service, the username is a private object. I cannot directly access it. So I have created a getter to get the value. Okay, so now I can go back and I can save this file. So now I've got the current username and I have initialized it from the state and I've set the value of login status. Now the next thing that I would do, I would want to hide these protected links because now the user is not logged in. Therefore, I will go to the HTML of the component. Here in the HTML of this component, I see the protected link div over here. It's a drop down, as you can see. I need to make sure that this protected link is not displayed when the user is not logged in. So to do that, in the navigation item drop down for this protected link, I'm going to set a ngIf attribute. It's a if condition where we are checking if the login status observable object that we have created over here, which is of type behavior subject, we are subscribing to that object over here. And this is how we will subscribe to an observable in your HTML using the pipe and the async. Now, once we subscribe, we will store the value in this login status object that we see in this ngIf. So we are saying if it is true, then we will show the drop down. If the value is not true, then we will not show this particular drop down to the user who's not logged in. So next thing, as I know that the login status will have the subscribed value, all I'm going to do is add another ngIf over here on this uh, a tag that I have over anchor tag that I have over here. I have used it. So I'll just set an if condition over here and get the value of this login status. So that's all I'm going to do over here. And now I'm going to save this file. Once I save this file, you should not see the drop down anymore because the user is not logged in and the link is protected. If we go and inspect this particular navigation tab, we should not see the drop down content. So if I see after the contact link that we have over here, you can see that the ngIf condition is resulted to false. Therefore, we are not seeing the drop down. Now let's go ahead and set the condition on this particular drop down as well because the user is not logged in, so we should not be showing this drop down. So let's go ahead and set the protection level on this particular drop down. So for that, on this particular nav item, I'm going to add the ngIf condition as well, and I'm going to set it over here and then save this. So by doing this, I should not see that drop down as well anymore. The next thing that I would want to do is hide or show the register and login button based on the user's logged in status. So let's go ahead and add the protection over there as well. So here for the register and login button, we are going to check the value of the logged in status, our observable object over here or behavior subject. Here we are going to check if the user is not logged in, and to do that I'm just going to add an exclamation to this condition I have over here. For the Other items where I want the user to be logged in, I have not added an exclamation, set it to not. But here I am checking if the user is not logged in, therefore I am going to negate this condition. So the condition, if this condition is true where the user is not logged in, based on that I have set the ngIf condition on the buttons for register and login. So if I save this, I should still see the register button and the login button. But once I logged in, I should not see the register and login button, but I should see the protected links and the profile drop down for the user. So let's go ahead and test this now on our login form. Here I'm going to just hit login. Once I log in, as you can see, I see the protected link and I don't see the username, but I see the drop down. So let's go ahead and add the username because I'm missing the username in the drop down for the protected link. So I need to display the username. So I'm going to add it over here. So here I'm going to use some string interpolation and just going to add the username object over here in this particular uh, anchor tag that I have over here for the drop down. And I'm going to get the username value by subscribing to the username observable object that I have created in the nav component.ts. So all I have done is subscribe to that observable and stored that value inside this username property, which I have passed over to this a tag over here so that I can use it in the string interpolation. I have used the title case pipe, which will convert the username into uppercase. So there are multiple pipes available, different types of pipes available in Angular, and you can read the documentation. In this case, we are using the title case uh, username, which will convert the username and display it. So I'm going to save this now. Once I save this, as you can see, I can see the username now on the drop down, as well as I can see the profile settings view. Now, once I log out, I should not be able to see these protected links. So let's go ahead and test that. We have not yet implemented the logout functionality, so this button wouldn't work. We have to manually do it right now by deleting our cookies. So I'm going to go to the application tab and delete all the cookies. By doing this, our login status will also turn to false state. So I'm going to refresh our page. A login state is turned to false. That's why the components are now not being showed. The elements are not being showed. The drop down for protected link and for our profile. But you can see the register and login button is now being showed to us. So guys, in this video tutorial, what we have learned how to hide and show elements in our components based on the state of the user or whether it's logged in or logged out. So if you have used state to manage different components or different objects in your application, you can use it to manage the component elements in your application. In this case, we have used the logged in status to manage the elements on our navbar, and I have displayed to you that it works as expected. So once again, do not forget to like and subscribe our channel Tech Howdy. Use the comment section if you have any questions, and the source code will be available in our DevOps repo. The link will be in the video description. Thank you.